Outside of that, John, I want to thank you for being a part of this first very live recording of us on video that we're going to post.
Oh my God. I can't believe you did that to me. No, you didn't.
Yeah. I accidentally hit record, and I was like, shit. Okay, well.
Well, like anything here at the Ludic Loungecast, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Exactly, which we're going to have a t-shirt of that one day. Although, do you think there's a copyright on that because of, Mr. O'Reilly?
I doubt he does, but maybe Fox does. I don't know. Or whatever news channel he did that on. I don't know. I don't know enough details about that phrase. I just know I like saying it.
Speaking of not knowing a lot of details, John, how's your day? How's your life, man? Why don't you give the audience some details about how your day's been? My
day has been filled with work, and now we are here at the Ludic Loungecast, hosted by yours truly, John Soares. And with me, as always, is my delightful, ever-present co-host, editor-in-chief of the Ludic Lounge himself, Antonicus Gluteus Maximus IV, or Anthony to his friends. Say hello to the people, Anthony.
Hello to the people, Anthony.
I didn't know Mickey Mouse was here.
Oh, boy, it's me, your pal Mickey.
Excuse me, Mr. Mouse. You went a little tinny there. I hope you understand that we might have to cut that for time. I hope you're okay with that.
Oh, tinny. That reminds me of the thing you sent me earlier about Bowie and his, what was it? What did you call it? The Tin album?
Tin Machine, yeah.
There was. Talk to me about that, man. I don't think I've ever heard it.
Okay, so post the 80s albums, Bowie joined up with a bunch of musicians to form this group called Tin Machine. They only did 2 albums, and they're like I think he did them at the tail end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, and they're just like this rock, like it's generic ass rock in my head. It's nothing as interesting as even his own failures as a solo artist, because like there's a couple albums post Let's Dance in the 80s that
that's a great song. One of my favorite Bowie songs, obviously.
That fucking album is the shit. I just want to point that out.
The whole album's the shit?
The whole album. I could listen to Let's Dance top to bottom over and over again. It is superb pop rock. It is literally designed, and I think Bowie even said that when he was producing that record. It is literally designed to be a hit machine, and a lot of his hits come off of that album. I mean, I'll just pull it up and just.
So I know Let's Dance, obviously the titular song.
Yes, Let's Dance. Yeah, Let's Dance does not open the album.
Ooh.
It's Modern Love, going into China Girl, going into Let's Dance, going into Without You, going into Ricochet, Criminal World, the second version of Cat People, and closes out with Shake It.
So, John, what would that sound like, going from top to bottom?
It would sound like David Bowie. Gonna sound like David Bowie. Gonna be like David Bowie. Singing on Let's Dance on YouTube. I hope I don't get struck for my David Bowie impression. Let's hope you don't get struck for your David Bowie impression. You gotta make We're doing dueling Bowies. We're doing dueling Bowies. You gotta think like dueling now, Bowie.
But then you got to go nice and soft. A little more sensual, Johnny.
A little bit more sensual.
That turned to Adam West. Now I want to hear that as Adam West, obviously.
I'm singing like David Bowie. I'm singing like David Bowie. Gotta sing like David Bowie. I'm Adam West singing like David Bowie. That was probably the best I've ever done that impression.
That was beautiful. Holy shit. This is the perfect video to start off for our first video on our YouTube page.
We are going hard here at the Ludic Lounge.
Holy shit.
And the Ludic Loungecast. Holy balls.
Oh my God. So speaking of doing it loud and proud and promoting our shit, plug, what we should end up doing at this moment in time.
Exactly.
as I am, of course, not filibustering to get all of our information. Because why would I need to filibuster? Because I have all of this off the top of my head.
And why do you need to filibuster when we have perfect end tags for this now?
Accurate. I completely forgot about that we have the end tags now.
And this is why I'm your lawyer.
Jesus, you think after all the fucking hours I spent editing this motherfucker, you think I would remember that there's editing?
I mean, you work a late job. It takes a lot out of you. That's why I do half the thinking sometimes, because we're two halves of one stupid brain.
At times, it feels that way, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
How you been, buddy?
I've been great. And let me tell you why I've been great, John, because I started Final Fantasy VII, not the remake for PlayStation 4 that just recently came out. I'm playing the remaster on Xbox One because it dropped on Game Pass very recently.
So you're going OG with it. Now tell me, did you play the game as a youngster?
I did not play the game as a youngster. I knew the pop culture around it because a lot of, the popular culture regarding video games, everyone talks about Final Fantasy VII and Sephiroth, excuse me. Yeah.
It was also like one of the first PlayStation games to have like cinematics, right?
Yes, it was like
that was like the big thing for it, where it was just like you had these full motion videos that actually told a cohesive narrative.
Yeah, and this game was made in 1997, right? So we're talking quite a long time ago. And it kind of shows at times. It really does. The cutscenes are, so many polygons. Just so many triangles, man. Like, everything's triangled out. But it's more of like a kind of a sweet, and I thought it was going to be a lot harder for me to jump into this because of like polygons and, the at this point, ancient video game technology, you could say.
Yeah.
But I'm actually having a lot better of a time than I thought I was originally going to. I mean, the story really drives this vehicle.
Yeah.
And so I'm going into it. So there may be spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put this on the front end because John and I are going to talk about my experience right now through Final Fantasy VII. Let's just call it OG for clarification's sake. And then John will probably bring out his thoughts from the remake, and we'll kind of compare and contrast and talk about the little interesting tidbits.
Yeah, because from our conversation off mic, Anthony's description of some of the events don't really match what I know from the remake, because it seems like the entirety of the Final Fantasy VII remake is going to be a little bit looser than what it was presented in the OG Final Fantasy VII. And I also understand that they're kind of incorporating some of like the side games and stuff that give a little bit more background to Final Fantasy VII into the remake. So
that's my understanding from it as well. And a lot of times they just keep it loosey-goosey, baby.
Just like we do here at the Ludic Loungecast.
Just loosey-goosey.
Just loosey-goosey. Over here. Adam West, are you loosey-goosey? Yes, I am so loosey-goosey.
That was perfect, man. All right, so this is what I want to hear for the rest of this video. At random times, if I emphasize something, I want you to do it of your various plethora of voices that you have in your stable doing Bowie.
I will try.
Oh, it's going to be excellent. So where I want to begin with my Final Fantasy VII OG talk is, again, I mentioned how the story is the vehicle, and it's really driving force behind it. Some of the remastered kind of quality of life things that they added to this game is you can fast forward the game via like a 3x speed, except for the actual cinematic parts. So when you actually have your cutscenes and all of that stuff. So that's been helping a lot with like grinding and just going through some of the dialogue that just kind of draws. I read very quickly anyway, so it's kind of a nice heaven sent for me that I don't have to just wait for the dialogue to load.
That's relevant to something I will talk about later, but we'll get to that at a certain point.
And speaking of grinding, another feature that they have is that you can actually, by clicking down both of the thumbsticks on the controller, you can actually stop random encounters, if you will. Oh. So that's pretty nice.
So meaning like you wouldn't like it would, because if I understand my recollection correctly, don't know why I said it that way. If I remember correctly, With Final Fantasy VII, it would be you would walk around and then sometimes you would just come across enemies.
Yeah,
and then
it's
stuck in a battle.
stereotypical JPRG, JRPG. Wow, I said that one awful too. It's just standard stereotypical where you're just walking along the world map and all of a sudden it's just and they're just fighting, except I have it 3 times fast, so it's even faster battle music.
That song, the music still holds up in the remake. It sounds great. I have that album.
It's fantastic. Like every time I get into a fight, I'm like, this is excellent.
Yeah, the music is the through line between both versions of the game. As unfamiliar as I am with Final Fantasy VII OG, I've heard the music plenty of times, and I have like all 8 hours of the remake album, which is fucking unreal. Yeah, it's unreal. But you're right. That music pumps you up, man.
It really does.
It really does.
Freaking awesome. One of the things that I want to continue on, it's a topic not so necessarily awesome, but what I've noticed is that in this remaster, some of the things that they didn't upkeep well as far as quality of life is some of the dialogue spoken. Still some misogynistic terms they use, still some not necessarily PC terms. For example, they call each other retarded a lot.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that, based on your facial expressions and voice tone there, John, which everybody can see now on our YouTube page when this finally jumps on.
Everybody.
It sounds like they kind of kept some of the same themes going into the remaster or the remake, excuse me.
What do you mean by themes? Like
using not politically correct?
No, absolutely. Okay. That is absolutely not the case. Like one instance, and I don't know if you've been to, is a wall garden.
The Walmart? No, not Walmart. Wall. That's an actual retail store.
Wall Market.
Wall Market. That's
Wall Market. Wall Market was from what I understand. Have you gotten there yet?
I believe so, because that was in Sector 7.
No, it's actually, I think, Sector 6. So it's in the remake, you go to Wall Garden after meeting Aerith.
Then yes, I have.
And you and Aerith, Cloud and Aerith go to Wall Garden in order to save Tifa from this Don Corneo situation.
Yes, so I played through all of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that whole section is pretty updated in regards to like the things Cloud has to do in order to sneak into Don Corneo's mansion.
So he doesn't necessarily have to wear women's clothing. And they don't have a discussion. Oh, he still. Okay.
He still does. He still wears the dress. But it's the how of it all that is different. From what I understand in the remake, there was or in the OG, there's like this Freddie Mercury guy and a bunch of buff dudes that Cloud has to sit in a hot tub with, and then there's this effeminate ish weightlifter that Cloud has to go up against, but I don't really know the context.
So there wasn't a hot tub. You, from what I was playing, there's a gym. It's a giant gym that you walk into, and it's a bunch of these buff dudes, and you have to grab a wig to complete the outfit. And this very feminine bodybuilder man's like, okay, let's do competition of squats for this wig, and then you have to go through a series of mini games to.
That's in the remake. It is a squat challenge, but it is unrelated to the sneaking into the mansion. It is part of getting, because the way they break it down is that the first part of it is we need to convince Don Corneo's 3 lackeys that Aerith needs to be let in as part of this selection. So part of all of that is doing the squats with the effeminate ish bodybuilder. I don't even know if we should be saying that, to be quite honest, but they give the character a name. I can't remember the character's name because
I don't. For me, I can't remember. It was just like Buffman A or something like that. Like, they didn't give him a proper name.
It's not like the guy is there. It looks like he has makeup on, but there's no real mention of it. There's no kind of like shaming of it. The whole sequence to get Cloud in the dress is tied to the Honeybee Inn and Andrea Bodea or whatever his name was. And you have to do that dance sequence that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago. That is the hardest thing I've ever had to play in my life. And that's the scene that also convinces me that Aerith really likes girls.
Yeah, good for Aerith.
Because when she sees Cloud in the dress, it is like her face is like a religious experience.
No,
like,
so funny enough, there wasn't a dance sequence or anything like that. Literally, in OG, you get the wig after the squat competition, then you have the dress, and you have to convince the father to make you the dress to begin with, and he essentially was looking for like some sort of inspiration to keep doing his business. So you get him, he's like a drunkard at a bar that you have to convince him to do it, and then you get this dress, and then it sparks his creativity to create the dress and then the wig, and then he goes into business making women's clothing for all, for males for everybody, for males, females, whoever wants to wear it.
I mean, the dress comes from one of Don Corneo's lackeys, the Andrea guy, and it turns into this kind of capital P pride moment. Stand up and cast your fears aside and stand up with pride, all that stuff. It's like a Lady Gaga song saying, you're beautiful this way, and beauty is a thing that transcends all labels and genders.
Oh, that's nice. I'm glad they added that.
Yeah,
there was none of that. It was just like, yep, let's sneak in with Cloud in wearing a women's dress and a wig, and then they sneak into the casino. Well, they call it a casino, and they sneak into the casino and talk to the mob boss, and that was about it.
and then you get dropped into a sewer and you have to fight.
God, why do we still have sewer? Well, again, I'm playing a 1997 version, but even by today's standards, why do we have sewer levels? It's literally the worst.
Yeah, well, you get another sewer level in the remake. So,
Jesus.
But it's a lot more challenging and fun because it leads to a lot of good moments between Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa. But I'm not surprised that the language is a little bit of an issue because in my research, from what I understand, like the localization and the translation from Japanese to English wasn't the best in '97. It's like Aerith, her name was Eris in the game.
Yeah.
And that, from what I understand, was a mistranslation in part.
I could be wrong. It was Eris, but I was picking up what you were throwing down when we were talking about that character. Yeah.
So, and I think they've changed the name to Aerith since in other other follow-up games and related media. But yeah, so Wall Market was like the big kind of touchstone for everybody's like, how are they going to update this? And honestly, I think from my experience with it, Anthony, you'll have to reserve judgment for when you finally do play the remake, which is probably likely now.
It's good. I'm holding steady to my whole thing of I'm not going to probably get it until it's remade for the PS5 when I get a PS5. Don't give me that stare. Don't give me that stare.
I'm giving you that stare.
I'm holding firm. Unless for some reason it drops to even more of a discounted rate than it is currently, because right now it's like 35% off or something like that.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I don't feel unsatisfied, and this is going on to like feelings on playing the game, beating the first part of this remake, because now it's looking like there's going to be at least one more part. I feel content for where it left off right now, but wanting more, because it does leave off on a big cliffhanger that kind of changes everything in how the game's going to go. So I'm going to derail
this a little bit. So I'm just going to derail it. Fuck it. There was an old like PBS show, right? It was akin to like Sesame Street and all those other kid-friendly shows that they would play on there. And I can't remember what show it was, and loyal listeners watching and or listening at home, first of all, thank you for subscribing, rating, reviewing. Second of all, if you know it, please let us know, because I'm very curious. But there was a little cut scene, and every time, like, it was a small little segment on like a bigger show, and on it there was a character called Cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. And like his whole getup was like, and that's why they call him Cliffhanger. And they would switch over to him, and he goes, "Must hold on, and it was him on an actual cliff. And he was
Hello, good viewers. My name is Cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I have to hold on.
and I don't remember. I can't remember if it was something like he was teaching you certain words of the day or some shit like that. But literally, like, they would exit it with going, and that's why they call him Cliffhanger. Must hold on. And so every time anyone says Cliffhanger, I always immediately think of that segment of whatever PBS Kids show that has been ingrained in my mind for forever.
I've never seen that. I've never heard of that until just now.
Ah, man, I got to find it somewhere, and I got to send it to you. Hey, folks, watching at home on our YouTube page, feel free to post the link if you find it under in the comments.
We'd greatly appreciate it. We love people. We want to hear more from you. And please be sure to get our handles at the end of the episode.
Oh, God, I know. Except they won't have it, now that I think about it, on this YouTube page. So either you would have to live recreate that, John, or we'll just drop it under, like, the description of the video.
I think we'll have to do that.
Perfect. Now, speaking of things that are perfect, one of the things I want to talk about being perfect with Final Fantasy VII OG is how perfect some of the dialogue between just the central characters are.
Oh, God, yeah. There's one instance, not to step over you a little bit, because there's one in that carries over to the remake, for one, and there's like one that I just love. It's post putting Cloud in a dress, and it's when you get reunited with Tifa, and she realizes, oh, this is Cloud, because at first she doesn't recognize him, and she's like, that hair, the makeup, the dress. He just deadpans looks her straight in the eye and deadpans. I know, nailed it. Moving on.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
So Sanma, again, so the Final Fantasy VII OG doesn't have, any audio as far as voice actors or anything. Cast. Yeah. But again, just some of the dialogue, I can just feel the characters and how they would talk. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like like Barrett would have like this Mr. T thing going for him.
And he does.
That's kind of what I figured. And again, a lot of the dialogue even between some of the Avalanche members like Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs. Now, I know they play a minor role than they do in the remake, but even some of their dialogue is just great. It's just wholesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize how little the Avalanche crew is in the OG, because they get a very dedicated. They get, I think, a whole chapter or two dedicated to the three of them. You go on a mission with all three of them.
God, that's awesome, because you don't get any of that. Like, you're introduced to them, you destroy the, I say Mako, but it's Mako reactor. You destroy the Mako reactor with them, then you go for a second one. But once you get to that second one, again, you just kind of, again, spoilers, ladies and gentlemen, spoilers. Sorry to bother you.
There's spoilers coming.
But essentially, when shit goes down on the second Mako reactor, and you go and you're just running up with Cloud and your team, and you just see like the dead body of like Jesse who's dying, and you see Wedge who is dying, like Wedge's dying words. It's like, hey, thanks for checking on me, Cloud. I always knew you were a good guy, or something to the like. And holy shit, man. Like I felt the anger of and rage of Cloud in those moments. And again, this is just them being so like little minor characters to a degree. Yeah. So I can only imagine the remake, when I actually get around to playing it, like how much it's actually going to affect me.
I talked to you a little bit about some of it because, I can't talk too much because I don't want to spoil you too much unless you tell me go ahead.
No, I don't think I want to get spoiled too much.
I mean, there are two. I did tell you one though. With Jesse was the one that's hardest, and it kind of sets up something I wanted to ask about. Is the game as horny as the remake is, the OG one?
It to a degree, yes, but it's more so like if you think like silly anime antics, as far as like you'll have Tifa and Eris kind of going, like Tifa going, oh, you're talking to Eris about this, or Eris going like, oh, I thought you were be my bodyguard. One scene in particular I'm thinking of is when they get to Shinra and they get captured, and they're in like separate holding cells. Tifa and Cloud are in one cell, and then you have Aeris another cell, and then Barrett and Red 13 in a different cell. And so
it's completely different in the remake, FYI.
Yeah, totally. Red 13, I heard, is not even in the remake at all, or like barely in the remake. So, anyway, don't spoil it. Just don't say nothing. Don't spoil it for me. So essentially, Cloud is talking to Aeris around in the other cell, and she's talking like, "I knew you'd come for me, Cloud." And he's like, "Of course I am. I'm your bodyguard." And I was like, "Oh, that's such a sweet line." And then Aeris hits him with like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I have to give you that date that that was owed." And then Tifa like gets up from her bed and goes, "Oh, what?" And so there's that kind of love triangle anime bullshit thing that all animes typically go to.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask about it is because like Jessie is aggressive to Cloud. Like it falls short of her saying, "Hey, Cloud, put it in me."
Whoa, right? Like that.
She is like, I'm your girl, Cloud. You don't got to look anywhere else anymore because I'm it.
Good for Jessie. Get it, man. Cloud is pretty in that game, so I don't blame her at all for chasing.
Dude, every single fucking person in that game is fucking pretty. Arguably, Jessie gets the most kind of time out of the 3 Avalanche members. So, I mean, what happens to her is what hit me the hardest, because it was you actually had to spend time with her, and you got to go on and learn more about her personal life and what it was she was doing before joining up with Avalanche. And why she joined up with Avalanche, because I don't think they give you that.
They don't. Honestly, you're introduced to them in the beginning, and then it's like there's this nice little like, "Oh yeah, we're Avalanche," and then they get like just hosed towards the end of the second Mako reactor.
You find out an event in Jessie's life that arguably probably could be said. I don't think they straight up say this is what got her to join up with Avalanche, but there is an event that involves Shinra that would make sense as to why she's decided, okay, I'm going to destroy them.
You get that with Tifa once. I just got through the part where Cloud goes through the backstory with Sephiroth and Tifa.
Which you don't get that much in the remake.
Interesting.
Yeah, there are... Throughout the game, you get flashes of memory with Cloud. There are times where Sephiroth will show up or something triggers Cloud and he'll grab his head and the screen gets distorted, and then sometimes you'll see a flashback. So I know that what I know is that I saw Tifa in like a cowgirl outfit over somebody's body, and her saying she's just sick of Shinra and Soldier and sick of all of it. And then she grabbed Sephiroth's sword.
Yeah, and like chases after him, right?
And what happens from there, in the remake, I don't know. In looking
so they cut that shit like to that point, so you don't even know what happens to make Tifa join and all that.
No.
Oh,
so
man, okay, so I don't want to spoil that for you.
Well, I mean, I spoiled it for myself because I looked it up, just because I wanted more context, because I feel like the remake is going off of the assumption that maybe some people have played Final Fantasy VII and have absorbed the story through osmosis.
Sure.
Because I mean, like I knew about spoilers, Aerith's death.
Yeah.
For years, because that's considered one of the defining storytelling moments in video game history.
Yeah, so I know that's coming at some point for me too. Like I've had that spoiled for me like long ago.
Yeah,
because that's one of the community things. That's like almost what happens in KOTOR of who the main protagonist is. Like they always use those two examples of great plot twists for story driving elements in video game.
Yeah, so and that's part of the reason why I never thought Cloud and Tifa had too much to themselves, because it every single time I hear about the characters of Final Fantasy VII, it always seemed to revolve around Cloud having something for Aerith, Sephiroth taking her away, and Tifa. I never knew that he and Cloud and Tifa were childhood friends. I never knew how connected they were through their mutual traumas, because it's the same trauma, just different ends of it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not going to spoil it too much, because I want to give people the benefit of the doubt and give them incentive to play it. But the remake gives everybody all of that depth. You know,
That's great, man.
So but like you said, they don't give you too much. And, you know, hearing that, Cloud gets into all of what happened to them in the OG where I didn't really get much is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but again, from my understanding of what the remake takes place, it's pretty much all Midgar, right? It's just like Wall Market, like that's the main bulk of the game. And honestly, through the OG that I've been playing, I felt like that was just a small little sprint. So like that wasn't even a lot of time dedicated to it at all.
Technical difficulty.
And sorry about the brief interruption, folks. I accidentally hit pause for a while, and John and I were talking. So I'm not sure where we left off at this point, but our first YouTube video, and of course I already fuck it up. But thanks for staying with us.
I mean, personal emergencies, you kind of have to take a quick break hiatus. But we were talking about like perception on the relationships of the game.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I hope this is going to be a fun little editing project if I'm wrong.
Oh man, I mean, this is going straight on YouTube, so I don't even have any video editing. I don't think.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to run with it when it comes to that.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So one of the things, the relationships, yes, the relationships in Final Fantasy VII to eventually transition to the next topic I want to talk about on Final Fantasy VII OG. Your standard crew between Barrett, Eris. I'm gonna call her Eris because that's what it is in the game I'm playing. It's just easier for my head.
Mm-hmm.
But also, fun fact: you can rename the characters if you want to in this game.
Remember when they let you do that?
Oh my god! I thought about it and I was like, no, because what happens if I need to read a guide and then I'm like, wait, who did I name Penis? Like it was Penis this person?
Reno and his dog.
Yes. Oh god, let's talk about that. Jesus Christ! So this was in Final Fantasy VII OG for the remaster on the Xbox. One of the other things you can do is essentially have like a God mode button you can click. So if you click on the right thumbstick, you can have unlimited limit. What do they call it? Limit breakers or limit attacks? Like unlimited limit breaks, and your health gets replenished like almost automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that before I fought Reno at the top of the Shinra Tower. And boy, let me tell you, I had to read a guide at some point because I would die and I would have to restart it, and I would have to restart from my save point because they don't have automatic saves. They have the old school save points. Right. And the old school save point was, like a few minutes before, which means I had to do a couple more things before I would go up to the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And holy shit, man. Until I finally read the guide, I was like, okay, I have to kill Reno's dog first. Because this dog, let me tell you, this dog was spamming magic attacks, and it was just fucking my day because it was only Cloud. I was only Cloud versus Reno and his
because
dumbass
Rufus
dog.
Shinra had the dog on top of a tower. Was the guy you fighting a blonde or a redhead?
Redhead.
Okay, then that's Reno.
Okay. Woo! I was like, holy shit, have I been mispronouncing this character the entire time?
No. There is a fight with a character named Rufus Shinra on top of Shinra Tower where he has one of those fucking magic dogs with him the whole fucking fight, and it's Cloud alone.
Yeah, that's the one I was doing that would get my shit rocked for a while.
That's why I was confused. It's like, wait a minute, from what you were telling me, that would be later in the Midgard part. So it's like, are you farther along than I think you are? But
that fucking dog rocked me, man. Holy shit! How's that fight scene in remake?
The fight on top of the Shinra building.
Yeah,
it fucking blows. Because it's not it's the full form open combat that is hack / combat as opposed to a turn-based thing. So you have to fight the guy Rufus with the dog. And then at a certain point, the dog goes away, and then it's just one-on-one, and even that one is a pain in the ass.
Jeez,
he's got a fucking it. Honestly, it's like he goes from magic dog to magic shotgun, and it's like fuck.
Do they still have the helicopter fight or whatever? Like when the other characters are coming down the elevator, is there still a fight scene there?
With the going in the elevators.
Yeah, like you're going down the elevator, there's another one coming up the elevator, and for me it was Red 13, Tifa, and Barrett. fighting against this, like a helicopter and other characters. Or it was a dude with like a go-go gadget, a propeller hat essentially that was like fighting me and shit.
Well, those guys they are helicopter dudes, but they're not. It's the helicopters are on their hands, not their head.
So it's not nearly as cool then.
Yeah, pretty
much.
The
entire time I was like, go gadget, helicopter hat.
Go gadget materia. Penny, we're gonna stop Dr. Shinra. We're gonna spank him.
And wasn't the bad guy essentially doing like a really shitty, just Marlboro Man impression, where he's just like, "Hello, gadget."
Yeah, it was deeper than that. It was like more monstrous to be in my memory, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, then again,
by the way,
my memory on Inspector Gadget is vague outside of my
Inspector Gadget is the most OP character because literally he could pull anything out. Like he could take on Thanos and win by himself.
Go Gadget Infinity Stones. Penny, where's my glove? And then Penny saves the day.
Oh man, could you imagine? And then Penny's just like, Inspector, I don't feel so good.
Wasn't it her uncle?
Yeah, pretty sure. Because they had to make it less creepy somehow that this dude with everything
hanging around with some kid and her dog.
Yeah, boy.
Anyway, relationships in Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, I'm glad you transitioned before I was going to make a really dark joke.
That's what I'm here for.
So yeah, that fight was a bitch. And then like right after that fight, I figured out that this God mode existed. And I was like, why didn't I have this? Oh my God, it was a bitch.
Well, lesson learned, I guess,
Yeah. So where I left off of the game, and this is where I'm going to kind of jump off, was just Cloud went into the detailed background between him and Tifa's relationship with Sephiroth and what that looked like, and what made them turn to Avalanche. Well, made what Tifa turned to Avalanche, and then eventually Cloud, joining forces with Tifa and the gang.
Yeah, and you get like some of the intro stuff of that, but like Tifa's background outside of her being a childhood friend of Cloud, and just like the hints of memory, I get none of that in the remake.
Yeah,
I only know that by virtue of looking the story up after the fact.
Dude, it's crazy as fuck. Like watching how Sephiroth just makes this heel turn. Like, holy shit! Like he literally just goes batshit insane.
But it like watching it, I imagine, is something completely different. But like reading it on the page and just kind of picturing it in my head, it feels kind of earned for him because it's just like your entire world is a lie.
Yeah, no, like it's an earned turn, but it's still just like a fucked up, like weird, like watching him acting a certain way beforehand with Cloud and the interactions there. Mm-hmm. Also, fun fact, so you actually play a little bit of fighting with Sephiroth and Cloud versus just like random monsters and stuff. Because, you're in the world state at that point. So you're replaying through these memories. And Cloud's like level 1, who has like a maximum health point of like 100. Like something stupidly minor. And then Sephiroth's like level 60 godlike mode. So he's just literally wrecking monsters with his fucking magic.
Oh,
it's insane. Like he had this one attack. Like they didn't have this dialogue, but in my head, because Cloud would just get one hit KO'd all the time by these like random monsters, and Sephiroth would have to do like this revive mode. And the way his body demeanor goes when he does this revive, he just looks over at Cloud and goes. And in my head, I just hear pathetic. And he's like, just raises him back from the dead, and then does this fucking epic takedown. It's like this earthquake move that just shatters the shit out of these creatures in one hit. It's fucking hilarious. And I went through a few of those before like the story progressed.
And then shit got real.
Oh man, does shit ever get real? It's crazy. They'll probably touch upon that in remake. What are they going to call it? Final Fantasy Remake
Part 2, probably. I watched a video, and it's like YouTube is famous for this, where it'll just be speculation videos based off of a collection of interviews.
Oh, right.
So I watched one of those just because it was specifically about what comes next now.
It was super clickbaity, and you're like, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I fell for the clickbait, but it's just like I'm genuinely curious about how this whole remake process is going to work and how many games it's going to turn out to be. this video essentially said that the second part's already underway, which makes sense. I mean, the engine's probably going to stay relatively the same. They're just going to be adding some things. They'll add more playable characters, I'm sure. But I mean, it's like, I don't know how the party system works in the OG, but like in the remake, it is very much, you don't have control over who is with you. It is what the story dictates who is going to be with you at the time.
Yeah, no, that's totally different. Like, you can pick your other two companions with Cloud.
Yeah, so arguably, I'd say that Cloud spends most of his time in the remake with Tifa and Aerith, and Barrett kind of, fades in and out as needed. I lost my train of thought.
Well, one thing on Barrett is that, because I played the demo for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Barrett's a lot more way more helpful and way better of a character in the OG. And I don't know if that's just because it's turn-based, so I can kind of control what he does, but I felt like in the remake he was just kind of unwieldy. He was just his own shit.
I mean, yeah, yes and no. I mean, that demo really kind of undersells what the game ultimately really is. And Barrett, by the time I got to have more consistent play with Barrett, I felt like I had a better hand on him.
Got it.
He's more of a ranged kind of bruiser type, and then if there are moves that you can get by unlocking other weapons that allow him to be a little bit more versatile melee wise. But honestly, I feel like he's not in the game. Like, maybe he's in a third of it, and the girls are with Cloud a little bit more. Which, I mean, that's what they're leaning into the love triangle by not making it necessarily a competitive love triangle, if at all. Because my read on it still kind of remains the same. That I think whatever part of Cloud Aerith is attracted to is just remnants of somebody else, and gotcha. It's not not having the complete story kind of makes that a TBD.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I think she genuinely cares for who Cloud is as a person, but there's also parts of him that I know aren't who he really is, and those are questions that still need to be resolved.
Well, a lot of his personality he took from his buddy Zach, and that goes into Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. I think it's Crisis Core. I can't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure that's the one.
I'm pretty sure it is too, and I know that they're incorporating some aspects of that into the remake, but I don't know how much. But like,
from my recollection, it's just like Zack dies, and then Cloud takes his fucking sword and takes his personality and goes forward.
Yeah, I know that's like the bare bones of it. I know it gets a little bit more complicated because Sephiroth and Genova and Mako bullshit, but part wise, there's a lot of theories going on to how many parts this thing might be. This video made a statement from I think one of the a financial analyst that works for Square Enix, or is has some kind of connection. I don't remember what off the top of my head, but he essentially made the guess that they cannot go more than one more, so it would essentially be a 2-part remake.
Damn. They're gonna have to shove a bunch of shit together in the second one then,
or just cut out a lot more. Cut out what is fat. Cut out the fat and just get straight to the narrative of it. And
that's the thing too. If you can only have 2 parts, then they should have cut out a bunch of the stupid ass side missions and more of main story in this remake. Again, I haven't played it, so I don't know. But that was one of the things I've heard from.
I mean, and the side quests honestly are just essentially just hack and slash fetch quests for the most part. But I'm a little bit softer on them because they're done in the guise of Cloud is doing mercenary work for the people in this area to build up his rep as a merc, which is just okay, you have a story reason to make me want to do this because now I'm doing something to build up a character in a community. That makes sense to me, at least. I think they could probably make them a little bit better, considering that we live in a post-Witcher, a post-open world style game where the side quest lines are very, very robust, and sometimes more so than the main game. But I think for Final Fantasy VII, the main game is the hook. I mean, like I've said it many times before, the characters just don't leave my head.
Yeah.
That's in part to kind of just, me being intentional about it and just, looking into a lot more stuff and looking at art and all this nonsense, but or similar nonsense. You get what I mean? But they wouldn't stick in. It's not just because I'm doing all that. It's because the characters make me feel something,
right?
And I feel like they are well developed, and there is a spark of something that speaks deeply to me, at least. I won't put words in your mouth, Anthony. But it sounds like it's up the same alley, but it's not necessarily the most modern because you're playing a 20-something-year-old game.
Yeah, again, I have a lot of the same sentiment, but again, you get more time with a lot of these characters because they really just emphasize like that smaller little level, whereas here it's like kind of a dead sprint. So maybe I'll get a lot more of that as the game continues. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of summarized my thoughts on this game too. So one of my next things I want to touch on is I watched the Netflix movie Old Guard with.
Let's talk, because I've watched this movie.
Excellent. So my initial overall thought of this movie, and I will start off by saying it was good. I enjoyed it. Really good movie. But if for people at home who are like, oh, I've seen this on my Netflix page, what's the premise on it? So if you took the premise of Tuck Everlasting and you made the characters just punch everybody in the fucking face, that's Old Guard.
Really?
Think about it, man.
Oh my God.
Yes, I am 100%.
No.
I am 100% right.
It's Tuck Everlasting, but with more murder.
But with more murder, like 100%.
But with murder.
Right. Yeah, but with murder, 100%.
Oh, fuck.
It's John Wick and Tuck Everlasting.
It's John. Yeah. That's. I might have to. Damn. That's going to change how I read the comic book now, because it is a comic book movie. It's been they marketed it like hell, like a superhero movie, which it is absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't agree with it being a superhero movie, but
it's just a fan. Like, it's written actually by the writer of the comic book, Greg Rucka.
Oh, I didn't even know it was a comic book because it never said anything based off a comic or anything.
It does at the main title sequence at the end of the movie.
Oh, I must have missed it.
And it probably you blink and you miss it, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, Greg Rucka is the guy who created the concept along with his artist Leandro Fernandez, and Greg was the main screenwriter for the adaptation, and worked pretty closely with this team. So and there's at least, I think there's one arc that's coming out that's been written and is going to be out in graphic novels soon. There's a little bit of difference between the two adaptations, but I'm with you, Anthony. It's a fun movie. I definitely think it's worth the watch, but also it's just like, and it's a little bit of my frustration with the comic too, that it kind of just doesn't. It feels abrupt in places, if that makes sense. Like
if anything, I feel like it drags on in places. Like I don't think this should have been a 2 hour plus movie.
I would definitely agree that it probably could have been like an hour 45.
Yeah, I could see hour 45, even an hour 40. Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it,
like the exposition was good and it explained a lot, and I appreciate it. But at times it was like, let's pander, and then all of a sudden explosion.
Yeah. I also, we could equate it to, this is, even though he is an established writer, it is the first screenplay the guy's ever done. So
accurate. Like, again, I'm not sitting here trying to shit on the movie. Everybody in the movie was excellent. Charlize Theron, all the other all of the actors who were in her group there.
Kiki Lane as Niall was arguably a standout, as were the two gentlemen who played Joe and Nikki.
Oh, they were great. Those two guys were great. Like, especially the scene where they get captured, and then they're like, "Oh, what is he, your boyfriend?" And he goes into his monologue about how it means so much more than just his boyfriend. Like, this is my, the warmth from the sun. And he goes into his monologue. I'm like, holy shit, man!
It brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was beautifully writ for that particular scene. Overall, like I said, it was good. It left on definitely a movie left on a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger!
Must hold on.
Talk everlasting! Robin!
By the way, a porno version of that movie could never happen, right? What are they going to call it? Fuck everlasting? Like, there is no such thing as an everlasting fuck.
No, it would be like one take for like 45, like an hour.
I mean, at that point, it's like,
I know your balls would explode.
It'd be like the lead singer of Dog Day Nights, right? Or not Dog Day.
Oh,
Nights.
Jesus Christ! Three Dog Night,
where he had so much sex his penis exploded.
Yeah, right down the middle.
Allegedly, in his autobiography.
I think so, it definitely broke. I always thought it was more like a flower.
Oh, Jesus. See, I was thinking like
I always
Dick.
thought.
Like, I thought it was more so like Bent Dick, and he had to create a very creative story.
No, I always heard it was the other way, that it was literally split.
Oh, Jesus.
How did we get to Three Dog Night and penises?
Because that's the kind of quality you get here at the Ludic Lounge and via the Ludic Loungecast, John. That's how.
That's right. It's David Bowie talking about Ludic Loungecast penis.
All right, Peter Falk is Bowie. Do it. Let's go.
I'm singing like David Bowie. Gotta sing like David Bowie. Gotta sing like David Bowie. I'm peaking like no one's business. It's time to get to a new topic. That was a transition.
Jesus, what a
Not a really good transition.
Oh, Jesus. Well, John, that's what I've been playing and watching as of late. So why don't you go dive into what you've been doing, sir?
Okay, well, my fiance and I started the animated DC cartoon Harley Quinn on HBO Max, formerly DC Universe. It was one of the DC Universe draw-ins. It has gotten 2 seasons. It is rated R, and it is great.
Yeah, that's a lot of things I heard, is that it is definitely puts the R in R rating.
Yeah, no, like I did not tell Chelsea that they are going to swear a lot in this. And I put it on, and she seemed a little like indifferent. And then Harley Quinn said, "All right, you motherfuckers." And Chelsea looked at me. It's like, wait, what? They're cursing here? I didn't think it was going to be that kind of cartoon. And it really leans into the most recent kind of batch of Harley Quinn comics that husband and wife team, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner, did, that also served as inspiration for the Birds of Prey movie. So they really lean into Harley kind of striking out on her own and really working through her baggage from the Joker and becoming her best individual self.
Right.
And also possibly finding some love in a green-skinned, redheaded woman named Poison Ivy.
Yeah, that's always been a tease in the comics. So I'm not
and
surprised that they're doing it in the show.
And the comics go back and forth. There are times where they will say, "Yes, it is happening," and then other times they will change their mind and say, "No, it is not." I get the feel we haven't gotten there yet. I don't know if we're still, I think, like midway through the first season, so we still have like a season and a half. So anything goes at this point. They are strongly alluding to it, even if Poison Ivy is, having dalliances with Kite Man of all people.
Kite Man, really?
With Kite Man,
people?
Yeah, and they use a running joke that one of the more recent Batman writers, Tom King, did because he, in his Batman run, he made Kite Man a recurring figure, and it would anytime Kite Man entered the scene, he would yell, "Kite Man, hell yeah!" So in the Harley Quinn cartoon, they do that. They make him say "hell yeah" as a catchphrase. So it's just like, art imitating art. Kaylee Cuoco is the voice of Harley Quinn. She is of Big Bang Theory fame, and she does a really good job. Alan Tudyk is the Joker.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, he's fucking amazing. And Doom Patrol made a joke about it because Alan Tudyk was the villain in the first season of Doom Patrol, and they go back to where they left him at the end of in the second season, and one of the guy he was left with say, "Oh, he went to go do a cartoon somewhere." So they just made like this little meta joke. It's just like, which is in line with the character Alan Tudyk played in Doom Patrol. Of he's this meta fourth wall breaking character. Speaking of Batman is in it and is voiced again by Diedrich Bader.
Yes.
So
the hammers of justice are unison.
Yes. Diedrich Bader voiced Batman in Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is a great fucking cartoon.
Great cartoon, man. Holy shit.
Arguably, it's right up there with Batman the Animated Series as far as I'm concerned.
But it hits a different level, though.
Yeah, it hits a different level.
Better by far. It hits a different. It's more of a spoof. It's kind of like the Adam West Batman. It's a parody,
but it's loving.
There's also a lot of like serious tones to it, and so it's great. Especially
like Brave and the Bold. Sorry,
especially the Booster Gold episodes.
Yeah,
man, those always hit.
And honestly, I think Brave and the Bold does the origin the best. For Batman, I honestly think it does, but that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah,
we might need to do like an episode on best Batman or versions of the Batman origin, and that way we have a definitive answer. But your boy, your buddy, your favorite person on the world, Chris Maloney, is Jim Gordon.
Oh, that's so perfect.
And they do Gordon interestingly because they play him as the most manic and stressed out man you can imagine.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
They play him as if he is just at the end of his rope and he is about to snap.
Well, yeah, look how much shit he has to go
and
through.
Exhausted.
Yeah,
I know. All the shit he has to go through. But it's Chris Maloney fucking sells the comedy. He also sells the fucking drama. He's so fucking good.
Yeah, he's the best, man. Like, I'm surprised he doesn't get more shit tossed at him like that. He did great as Green Lantern in his Green Lantern animated movie that I can't remember the name of.
First Flight.
First Flight, yeah.
First Flight. They traded him for Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, like when the Green Lantern movie came out, he did that animated origin movie, which is arguably better than the live action one that they actually did.
Yeah, so much so.
Or did they do it before? Did they do it? They did it before.
Yeah, they did it before, man.
And then it was that Emerald Knights movie. That's where Nathan Fillion, I think, was one of the first times Fillion did Green Lantern. And then they've kind of they haven't gone back to him as Lantern for a minute, I don't think, but I could be wrong. I thought he also did Steve for the Wonder Woman Steve.
Oh, okay.
What's his name? I'm blanking on his goddamn name.
I don't remember, man.
Fucking blonde's name Steve. You think I'd get them right?
He also did Vigilante from Justice League Unlimited, which is one of my favorite like B-side characters.
I think it was I think that was the episode where it was supposed to be like the 7 Soldiers of Victory, right? Or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
We might need to do like a Justice League Unlimited files, like we do with the Columbo files.
Oh man.
And just decompress like the DC animated universe and just like what still works, what doesn't work anymore.
Except the Booster Gold episode would have like 3 dedicated Ludic Loungecast podcasts.
No. Here's what would happen if we do that podcast and we get to the Booster Gold episodes. It will instead of one episode being one, we do one podcast episode for one episode of Justice League. For the Booster Gold stuff, we go minute by minute and just analyze each minute for each podcast episode and go like an hour.
And the whole entire time, I'm just going to sit there and rail on how DC needs to stop being fucking cowards and give me the Booster Gold Blue Beetle buddy cop show. Like, you just need to stop being fucking cowards already. I'll voice it for them. I'll make it for them. At this point, just fucking give you all the money, John. John, just become the president of DC already. Just fucking throw your big dick out there, become the president, and just do all this good shit that you have already planned out.
I mean, it's our good shit for one, because we spitball a lot of those ideas off each other, which ultimately revolve around just adaptations of the good shit.
That's fair.
Fair. You know, maybe someday will happen. I don't know. Maybe not. You know, this is in light of the recent layoffs that AT&T did to Warner Brothers and Warner Media, and everybody's really worried about DC right now because they're afraid it's going to be turned into an IP farm. Which everything, you know, word to the contrary from Jim Lee and the voices that be at DC, they're saying that that's not the case at all. But
they have to say that shit though, man. Like they have to say that shit.
They have to say that shit because everybody was saying, "Oh, this is the end," and it was only based off of the fact, unfortunately, a third of DC's staff kind of got laid off. Not kind of, they did get laid off.
Yeah.
But they're all in California, so they have to work for an additional 3 months under employment law. They just have to give a period of notice that these people are going to be let go, but then they have to work out the rest of that contract period.
That's such a shitty thing. Like just knowing it's like,
yeah.
So I have to still give 100% on this, knowing that I'm not going to have a job by next month. You know what I mean? Like
or like 90 days or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever it may be.
And it's all just part of the larger restructuring that AT&T is doing to that section now that they own, Time Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of restructuring, a lot of conversation about what's going to happen to the DC Universe app. A lot of the video, all of the video content seems to be going to HBO Max because that seems to be the platform that they are going to be supporting the most.
Yeah.
So DC Universe most likely might become like just a comic book reader because they have like about 20,000 titles on there, which, Marvel already does that with Marvel Unlimited. So, it makes sense that they do something like that. Well, whether that actually does happen, we'll see. Everything is, speculation. So we won't know anything until the dust settles. And
what you're saying, John, is that if AT&T is listening to this alongside our other 2 listeners out there, if you're listening to this, that you should just buy our podcast so you can become some sort of IP internal president and give them content, like president of content creation on the DC side.
And then give me DC.
Yeah, seriously.
Give it to me. I can do it.
Yeah.
I have no experience, but it's just like I will, yell out ideas and tell people, hey, you can do the thing. Go do the thing. I'll sign the check. It's
literally just going to be a series of boardroom meetings where you yell at people like, get your shit together, Jim Lee. Get your fucking shit together.
Legendary X-Men artist Jim Lee.
Yes, just yelling at legendary, mad respect Jim Lee. Yes.
Oh, that's fucking nuts.
And then you bring in Frank Miller and just yell at him too. Just call him a crazed old man.
He is a crazy old man.
That's what I'm saying. You just bring him in for a special thing.
But he looks old and sick. I'd feel bad.
No, you shouldn't. Kick his ass to the curb.
Neither here nor there. Video game wise, I was a little busy bee the last couple days. I beat 2 Switch games. One was a reverse horror game called Carrion.
Interesting.
So, John Carpenter's The Thing, Anthony?
Yes, I do.
This game is essentially that, but you're playing The Thing.
Oh, I have heard of this. Yes, I was like, this is tickling something in my mind. But this is the one where you're playing the big bad monster.
The monster, yes. You developed by a game studio called Phobia Game Studio. Carrion is it follows a monster that eats people, and you're the monster, and you just hide in this complex, and you just go around and explore and murder people and try to get out.
I remember hearing the premise of this game and going, what a great premise to a video game.
Yeah.
Where have you actually seen that? I mean, very far and few between, I would imagine.
I can't think, there is nothing that really comes to mind like reverse horror. There's like one game that pops in my head, I think like Devolve, that came from the Left 4 Dead people, where you could play as the monster. And I know that there is a Predator game where you can play as the Predator. and hunt people.
Oh, right. And Friday the 13th did something similar, but that's more of
Yeah.
that's not like a story driven. That's more of just like a, what do you call it?
That's like a 4-way multiplayer or something.
Yeah, that's just like a multiplayer like party game essentially.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the Friday the 13th one actually has an interesting story because I think it got caught up in some lawsuits about Friday the 13th as a whole property because there was like some ownership disputes and it led to, I think, the game getting pulled or something. But that's just a very hazy recollection. Please look that up because if anybody knows anything about the Ludic Loungecast, we kind of just do this shit live and run with it.
Yeah,
we should probably research more, but we come up with these things like immediately right before we start talking. So it's just like,
now we do it to make other people research. We want them to go out there and do the research. Go do the legwork. We have the platform, but you guys go do the legwork.
We give you guys references to things because we think they're cool, and then we'll let you go discover them to go figure out your own decisions. But I was expecting it to be a little bit longer, but honestly, you could, if you put in the time on like a Saturday or something, and you got 8 hours to spare, and you want 100% this bitch, you could, because honestly, I beat it in probably like a handful, like 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, but again, that's the thing. Like another common misconception that people have of video games, everyone thinks that they're supposed to be these epic 70, 80-hour games. It's like, dude, no, video games can be like 8 hours, 10 hours. As long as they're fun and just have great little mechanics in there to make it fun. Like, they don't have to be these epic AAA fucking 90-hour RPGs where you're doing all these bullshit.
That's like, I'm kind of like Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I have this itch to play a bigger game, but I'm just a little burnt out on Ghost of Tsushima, and just the style of, not necessarily, for right now, like I'm almost 100% at Ghost of Tsushima. There's literally nothing for me to do outside of just run around and murk Mongols. But, that's, I'd rather just move on to something new at that point. But I really appreciated the game. It was fun to play. It was fun to just find these like little like skills and just evolve the thing, because you just evolve the monster as you go and you can do more things, and you get bigger. So it's just like you have to deal with your mass, and you have to there are certain things where you can't, if you're too big, you can't really do the thing you need to do to move on because you don't have that ability in the mass that you have.
Makes sense.
So it's a little bit of a puzzle game. It's a little bit of a thinker at times, where you just kind of have to figure out. Combat's a little bit tricky because you have to grab shit and fling shit, and then absorb people to get your health back up. So it's a neat little game. I'm kind of, the way it leaves it is kind of, I would say, a little open ended. So like maybe they could do a second game. I don't think that they should, but it's definitely something I think horror fans would like to play a little. Platformers would probably like to play. I would kind of consider it a platformer to an extent, just because you're going from like screen to screen, dealing with the contents of different rooms, and they're all different.
Right.
So I would highly recommend Carrion. It's a fun little game. If you want something to kind of just occupy your time, simply, or just something you want to take your time with and not feel too much pressure to get through, Carrion is a great example of that. I also played a game I had been meaning to play for a long time now, and conveniently it's on a Switch trilogy. I played Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Ah, good man. That's been sitting in my like favorites to purchase whenever there's a sale on it.
Yeah, not too long ago. I don't think it's on sale anymore, but it was on sale on the Nintendo eShop. It was probably like I think it retails for like $29, but it was on sale for like $15. So Phoenix Wright was a game that was made in 2005 for, I believe, the
DS.
the
I think.
DS.
Yeah.
And it is a visual novel.
Objection.
Yes.
That was my Phoenix Wright impression.
I know. I thought you had an objection to what I was classifying it as.
Well, I just want to throw you off and do my Phoenix Wright impression. That's all.
I mean, it turned out all right. It is a visual novel about a young lawyer named Phoenix Wright, and you just
Which is a great goddamn name. Let's give it props for that. That's an epic fucking just name.
That title is it alone is just fantastic. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. And he is an ace. Even if the legal world that exists in this game is by far the looniest thing I've seen in my life. Mostly because the conceit of the game is that because of the influx of cases that the legal system had, they decided we're going to have things be resolved in 3 days at most.
Damn.
So I think, it's a story device to keep things moving.
Yeah.
But it's just like that would never fucking work.
No, that would never fly, man.
No. And my fiance asked, is like, because of my background, she asked me, do you think it's accurate? And it's like, yes and no. I mean, they use some terminology right, and they use some context. Some of the things that they do in context is kind of right, but it's just a little off center from what I'm used to.
Yeah, but they have to do that so it's not just fucking droll, right?
No, otherwise it would be boring as hell research for like a month before you get to trial.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, if you wanted probably like a more realistic approach to it, it'd be like a Persona version of Phoenix Wright, which is like that would take up time.
That would be interesting as shit to have a crossover.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it's just like, okay, what if you do like a year-long murder trial and you just do in depth and every day you have to do something while juggling, caseloads and all that other
but also
stuff.
Trying to juggle a personal life and like getting yelled by your significant other while you're spending too much time on the case and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that would be some shit, man.
That would be some shit. That would be a little too real world for me, to be quite honest. But that the fact that we just came up with that game is kind of fascinating. But I'm here for it.
That's why it shows you have your credentials to be a president, man.
I mean, a president of Hollywood or president of video game Hollywood. I mean, I'm fine with either, to be quite honest.
All of it.
Just right up in that face, that whole face.
Just a monopoly of you will be the Rockefeller of the world, John.
I mean, I'll take it.
Of the entertainment industry, I should say.
Yeah, just less racist by being not racist at all.
Yeah, probably that'd be a lot better for you.
Yeah, that would be the case.
Unless like robber baron.
More like actually, trying to bring the ethical billionaire to life, because there is no such thing as an ethical billionaire.
Yeah, there really isn't if you think about it.
Really not. But it's fun. It's funny. Also, I kind of think Phoenix Wright would date a dude, because there's the prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. There is a lot of homoerotic tension going on, buddy.
Yeah, I saw a Twitch streamer play it one time, and just like their back and forth that they have, the banter between the two of them. I was like, oh, some shit's gonna go down.
Yeah, down in the nether regions.
Absolutely. Whole new perspective of the term briefcase, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, Jesus Christ, file that.
No, not at all. That was a good one.
No, it wasn't. No. Stop it. You got to stop that. It's bad. I felt a little bit more like between Carrion and Phoenix Wright. I kind of enjoyed Carrion a little bit more, just because it was a little bit more hands-on, because you're doing more movement stuff with Carrion, because you're just going from place to place trying to eat people. And in Phoenix Wright, it's a lot more reading, which kind of brings it back to what you were talking about earlier with OG Final Fantasy VII in the reading speed. Like, I would have to just smash the B button just to speed up the text box, because it's just, I need you to go faster because I am reading faster and you're not going fast enough for me.
Yeah, that's always the worst, but they don't give you the option. You're sitting there, it's like, and you're like, dude, I read what this dialogue like.
I need it faster, please. I need it faster. For Phoenix, I don't know if I would like do all 3 games back to back. I don't necessarily feel the urge to right now. I
feel like you need a break, right? I feel like there has to be some sort of break between game 1 to game 2 to game 3, because I feel like trying to do them all back to back to back, that's just kind of a hassle.
Yeah, it feels a little bit. It was a little exhausting, and and that brings me to something I was doing. I mentioned earlier about trying to find something more narrative like Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm not 100% sure I'm there for one of those yet. I started this game that is published by Square Enix and is, because I'm looking it up, developed by Platinum Games, called Nier Automata.
Ah, yeah, heard of that one.
I heard about it too, just because I heard that it requires multiple playthroughs, and by the time you get through to the third ending, shit gets batshit insane in a good way. So it's just like I was very curious. I started it. I put in about maybe like 4 or 5 hours into it. So Nier Automata is a sci-fi hack slash game that is set in the far future, where a proxy war is run between the forces of an alien race and androids created by humans who live on the moon. So you play this android called 2B, who is assisted by a male android named 9S. And 2B is a female android. She's a combat model, and for whatever reason is placed in a very loose miniskirt. Which is like, I'm desperate to get her into something that actually seems combat ready, but I can't because too early in the game. So it's just like, I like the game. I'm a little put off by the fact that I am forced to look up this woman's skirt.
That's some weird shit when they do that.
Yeah. Man. So like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to, change her out of it. From what I've read, it was more, that's like third playthrough stuff. So I'm like, fuck.
Ugh.
But the story is engrossing so far. And yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. There's like hints of romance between the two androids that I'm dealing with. It's very Dark Souls-ish. So you have to be in certain areas to save. It can get tough because sometimes you'll come into areas where you had beaten a round of enemies that were around your level, and then you come back and suddenly there are 10 levels above you.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen a couple of times, and it's, bitten me in the ass before. So you have, when you die, you have to go recover your shit.
Oh God.
It's one of those. So I think I'm going to try and take my time with it. But with the Avengers coming out from Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, my attention might not be too focused on it. I played the beta again for the Avengers. I'm still in the same place I was last time we talked about it.
Okay.
But they did do a data mine apparently, and this, by the time this comes out, it'll be a little bit, post all of that, like a week later.
Sure.
But they did a data mine showing, somebody did a data mine on the game, showing which characters are likely to be in the game. Sorry for my text message stuff, but they have your She-Hulks, your War Machines, your Doctor Stranges, your Captain Marvels. Interestingly, the original Captain Marvel, is going to be available in the game.
That's interesting as shit.
Yeah, which and Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel is going to be in it. So I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how narratively that they're going to establish that. So I have the list in front of me. They're saying Ant-Man, the Wasp, Vision, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Falcon, Marvel, Mockingbird, Quake, the Winter Soldier, the Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, the Kate Bishop Hawkeye, the Clint Barton Hawkeye, She-Hulk, and War Machine will be available at launch, with the exception of Clint Barton, because I think Clint is going to be DLC, and Spider-Man is a PS4 exclusive. So you're looking at probably about 17 characters if you have a PlayStation 4. And this will be a multiplayer type style game. It has a single player campaign that seems to be pretty well developed, but they are also really, really banking on the multiplayer aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know right now. I mean, it's the thing I had with Destiny. It's like, Destiny's fun to play, but I don't have a dedicated group of people who are online.
That's the thing too. If you don't have a dedicated squad or guild or whatever you want to call it, it's one of those like, okay, that's great, and I can see how this would be fun, but I can't have that because I'm not going to just solo all of this multiplayer bullshit.
And it might be just that my stubbornness makes me do it anyway. That's just me. And the other part of it is just being comfortable enough to go online and just say, hey, I am going to join these random strangers.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, I have to break that comfort shell. I know that's the case for me as well, if and when I pick that up.
And that's the hard part for me. And so, and the other thing is that, and I think I referenced this last week, it will be if you had pre-ordered the game, you will get a free PS5 upgrade of it for your PS5 console if you so decide to get a PS5. That is all I have for you this week, Anthony.
All right.
So I'm going to have to deal with, either playing more Phoenix Wright or figuring out Banner Saga. Because actually, I do have one more thing. Based off of Anthony's glowing recommendation a couple episodes back about the Banner Saga trilogy, I picked up the Banner Saga trilogy, and boy, do I suck!
Oh man, like I said, if you don't already have like a systematic approach to it, you just get fucked over, man.
Yeah, like I'm. Anthony's not kidding about this game. If you do not play wisely, it comes to bite you in the end. And I am at the point where I'm pretty sure I have to start the game over.
Yeah.
Because
you, man,
I'm literally
out of battles. You don't have to win every battle, but if you're not winning consistently and getting that renown, you're fucked. Because renown not only is your upgrade, it's the entire game currency. So it's upgrading your characters, it's buying supplies so your people don't starve or leave or both. And if you don't have that consistent renown coming in, you're just fucked.
Anthony cannot state it more clearly than that. You have to, like, my whole philosophy was just win, which I mean kind of worked sometimes.
That made me laugh.
Really?
So because off the air, John was telling me, hey, Banner Saga's fucking me. I'm like, okay, well, and I was trying to be a good friend, like, hey, so what tips are you going to? What's your strategy in battles? And John just texts back, win? And I was like, God damn it, John. Of course you're getting your ass whooped.
Yeah, you can't, like, my philosophy for a lot of the games I do, and this kind of goes back to Mass Effect, as it kind of always does. And Anthony will know what I'm talking about, where, I didn't really branch out of the soldier class because I like to be the 500-pound canary in the room. That's a line Anthony has used very frequently, and I love it to death. So I just keep using it. But so I like to try and be the 500-pound canary in the room, which means blunt force through everything all the time.
Yep. You want to be able to carry every single fucking weapon. Biotics? What are biotics? Fuck off. I can own every shotgun, every assault rifle, sniper, and I'll just kill you. Which makes the game a lot funner. I'm talking Mass Effect now, of course, as a soldier. Because it's like, no, I don't need any of this frivolous biotic.
Which is funny because when it came to like the later games and you could add that special skill, I always chose a biotic skill.
Made no sense though.
No.
But I liked playing as soldier class, especially my first run through all three games, because it was one of those, like, it made me feel Shepard, like, more real in this world, right? It's like everyone has these magic powers, including humans, and you're sitting there like, I am not anything special. I just need to get this job fucking done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more so in the first game than it is in 2 or 3.
Oh, the first game is worse for being soldier class.
Yeah, and I'm also talking like in a narrative sense. Well, yeah, I mean, we can get. I think honestly, next episode we're probably gonna have to do like a Mass Effect deep dive on like our feelings on it, because we can't do a week to week episode about Mass Effect because Normandy FM already does that or did that.
Plus, go follow those guys. Go listen to those episodes, man. At Normandy FM's their Twitter handle. They're great. One of the inspirations behind this podcast, and I can't speak highly of them enough. This is probably what the second or third episode we've plugged them
in a row. Yeah, I think so. But like from like a narrative standpoint, I think that that first Mass Effect does something that you and I both really like, which is what Elder Scrolls Oblivion does, which is you're just a guy who gets drawn into some shit. You lose that in Mass Effect 2 and 3 because, it is now, this is Shepard.
Yeah, exactly.
And Shepard is the one who saved it all. I think honestly that argument might kind of get nitpicked apart if you look at it closely enough. But I think in general, you could say that Shepard very much is this, fish out of water for at least that first game in some sense of the word. I mean, the soldier of Shepard's prepared to handle the situation, but it is not the situation that they originally thought they were going to have to deal with.
No, not at all, man. They just get, like I said, tossed into it, and then you just come into enough dumb luck to where you become the first human Spectre, and then after that, just shit goes down. And then you
fall in love.
Of course. Oh, great love theme. Talk about great songs in video games and cinema. Holy shit, that love theme.
I think it honestly comes into its own by the third game, though.
I agree.
That's what. Well, I mean, that's the pardon the phrase, the climax of it all. Jizz.
I feel like we just got to end the episode on that. Like, that's just how this episode has to end.
Yep, that's the climax. That was the climax. We're done. Thank you, loyal listeners. I hope this YouTube video is not too much shit.
Oh, it's gonna be. It'll be awful, but anything we do, John, it's gonna get better with time.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
And fuck it, we will do it live. So
that's the name of this episode.
Yeah, the name is just gonna be "Fuck It, We Do It Live," and on YouTube we'll put asterisks for fuck. And that's
I did. I put the asterisks anyway, but
yeah, fair enough. So look forward to, loyal listeners and viewers, the Columbo Files coming to a podcast arena near you. That's going to be coming out soon. Again, it's going to be we talked about it last time, but now, post Columbo Files, after we record it and I edit it and everything, it's going to have a little bit of a different feel, but I think you're going to enjoy it. Please look out for that. Please watch out for that. Please tell your friends. Please rate. Please subscribe. Please
get the word out.
Yeah, get the word out and just enjoy yourself, because we're putting out lots of content.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself with me.
Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself with me. Baby, enjoy Columbo. Because I don't want to get stricken by copyrights.
And speaking of copyrights, actually, this has nothing to do with copyrights, but I had to find some sort of segue. Look for our website. There's going to be more content. I've been reaching out to a few people talking about if they want to add content as far as putting stuff on our website. And it's going to be a lot coming soon. So you're going to have a lot of content, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different voices, talking about a lot of different kinds of things, whether it be just movies, video games, anime even. Just look out for it. And like always, please spread the word. And we hope to see you soon. But John, send us out as only you can on this beautiful venture of the podcast.
Thank you, good citizen. This is TV's Batman. Speaking on behalf of John Soros, co-host of the Ludic Loungecast, this handsome gentleman has been Antonicus Gluteus Maximus. We thank you for lounging with us, good citizens. Good night.
Bye.
Hello, good citizens of Gotham City. This TV's Batman. You have been listening to the Ludic Loungecast. For more, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Ludic Lounge, for Antonicus at RojoLoco44, and John at just_John_0891. Or feel free to email us at theludiclounge@gmail.com. Quick, Robin, to the Bat Pulse. We have a podcast to listen to!